There are moments in life when we feel that time is slipping away from us, that every second counts, and that we cannot afford to wait another moment. In those instances, it's as if an inner voice is warning us that the time to act is now, that something big and transformative is about to happen. This message is for you, my child. God is telling you that time is short, that what you have been waiting, longing, and praying for is closer than you imagine. But there is a condition: you must be ready to open it, to receive it with open arms and a willing heart. Have you felt that urgency in your spirit? That feeling that something important is coming, and that you cannot afford to be unprepared? God is calling. He is knocking at the door of your life, but it is your decision to open it. What awaits you on the other side is greater than you can imagine. It is not just a passing blessing, it is a complete transformation, a renewal in your financial, spiritual, and emotional life. But to receive it, you need to take that step of faith. You need to open that door as quickly as possible. Many may doubt. Many may say that there is still time, that there is no rush. But God says otherwise. There is little time left. This is the moment to act, to put aside excuses and doubts. It is the moment to believe, to trust that God has a perfect plan for you, a plan that includes abundance, peace, and prosperity. And for those who make this decision now, the rewards will be immense, not only in this life but also in eternity. It is time to take action. It is time to open that door and let in the blessings that God has prepared for you. From dawn to dusk, God never departs from those who seek His guidance. His presence is a constant beacon, illuminating even the darkest moments. It is easy to forget that we are surrounded by His love when the worries of the world overwhelm us, but it is precisely in those moments when we most need to remember His eternal promise. He is like a friend who never abandons us, always ready to listen and offer comfort. No matter how lonely the journey may seem, God walks beside us, ensuring that we are never truly alone. When life becomes difficult and the weight of responsibilities seems too great to bear, it is important to remember that God is present. He does not just watch from afar. He is there, holding our hands, helping us carry the heaviest burdens. He is like a father who helps his child carry a backpack that is too full. He lightens the load without taking it away completely, teaching us to be strong and resilient. This act of support is a financial blessing in itself, as it allows us to keep moving forward, trusting that with His help, we can overcome any challenge. In the midst of emotional storms, when hopelessness threatens to take over our hearts, God's presence becomes more tangible. He is like a warm coat on a cold night, covering us with His love and protection. Sometimes the protection is not immediately evident, but if we look closely, we will see how His hand guides each of our steps. He protects us from decisions that could lead to financial and emotional ruin, ensuring that we always find our way back to peace. The trials of life can make us feel as if we are in the middle of a desert, alone and directionless. But even in those barren places, God's presence is a constant source of life and hope. His word is like water that quenches our thirst, renewing our strength and giving us the courage to keep going. In those moments, it is crucial to remember that each step taken in faith is a step toward certain victory, a reminder that God never abandons us, especially when we need Him most. God is not only present in moments of joy, His presence is felt even more in moments of pain and suffering. He is like a refuge during a storm, protecting us from the onslaughts of life. Although we sometimes doubt and wonder why we must go through certain trials, it is important to remember that God has a plan for each of us. His ways may be mysterious, but they are always designed for our good, guiding us toward a future full of blessings. In life, we all face moments when our strength falters and the future seems uncertain. In those moments, God becomes our most steadfast support, reminding us that we are not alone. His constant presence is like an anchor that keeps us steady, even when the waves of life hit us hard. There is no problem too great for God to handle, and by trusting in Him, we find the strength to keep going, knowing that every difficulty is just an opportunity to receive a greater blessing. Money can be a constant concern, but when we trust in God, we discover that He provides in ways we never imagined. It is like finding a hidden treasure just when we need it most. His provision does not always come in the form of material wealth, but it always arrives at the right moment, perfectly meeting our needs. This divine provision reminds us that, while money is important, true wealth lies in having unwavering faith in God's constant presence in our lives. God's presence manifests not only in the spiritual realm but also in the material. When we place our finances in His hands, He guides us toward wise decisions that lead to prosperity. He is like a heavenly financial advisor, always ready to show us the right path. Through prayer and faith, we receive clarity on how to manage our money in a way that not only meets our needs but also becomes a blessing to others. This blessed money allows us to live a full life, without constant worries about tomorrow. In moments of despair, when it seems there is no way out, God opens doors we did not even know existed. It is as if He shows us a shortcut to the solution, a path that is only revealed when we fully trust in His guidance. This divine intervention not only solves our problems, but also teaches us to depend more on Him. Every challenge overcome with God's help becomes a testimony to His power and love, reminding us that with Him by our side, anything is possible. It is easy to forget that God is present when everything is going well, but His constant presence is the reason we experience those moments of happiness and peace. He is like an invisible thread that connects every blessing in our lives, ensuring that we never lack what we need. This divine presence motivates us to be grateful and to recognize that everything we have, including our blessed money, is a gift from God. By cultivating this gratitude, we strengthen our faith and prepare ourselves to receive even more blessings in the future. Life is a series of ups and downs, and in each of those moments, God is present, guiding and protecting us. He is like a lighthouse in the distance, always visible, always there to show us the right way. In moments of uncertainty, His light gives us the confidence to move forward, knowing that no matter what we face, He is with us. This knowledge gives us peace of mind and frees us from fear, allowing us to live with courage and purpose, knowing that every step is guided by His eternal love. Divine protection is something we often take for granted, but it is one of the greatest blessings we can receive. It is like a shield that protects us from dangers we did not even know existed. When we trust in God, He covers us with His mantle of love, ensuring that every aspect of our lives is under His care. This kind of protection not only keeps us safe but also allows us to thrive, knowing that our finances, health and well-being are in the best possible hands. God's presence is not something we should seek only in times of need. It is something we should cultivate and recognize every day, in every action, in every decision. He is like a faithful friend who is always with us, waiting for us to talk to Him, to entrust Him with our worries. By doing so, we realize that we are never alone and that with His help, we can overcome any challenge, achieve any goal, and live a life full of blessings and blessed money. On life's journey, the burdens often feel like heavy stones that we must carry on our backs. But when we take a moment to remember God's presence, it is as if those stones become lighter. Imagine carrying a backpack full of worries, responsibilities, and fears, and suddenly feeling that someone takes part of that weight. That is divine intervention in our lives, a reminder that we are not alone in our struggles. Through His love and power, God transforms what seemed unbearable into something manageable, allowing us to move forward with hope. Every time we face a difficulty, whether in our relationships, health, or finances, it is easy to feel that the weight of the world is on our shoulders. However, God invites us to give our worries to Him, to trust that He knows exactly what we need. By doing so, we experience a kind of release, as if an invisible burden is lifted from our hearts. This relief not only gives us peace, but also gives us the strength necessary to face any situation, knowing that God is working in our favor. It is in moments of greatest stress and anxiety that God's relief becomes most evident. When we feel we cannot go on, when money seems scarce, and solutions seem distant, that is when God intervenes. His presence is like a balm for the soul, calming our thoughts and reminding us that He is in control. Through prayer and faith, we find relief that goes beyond the physical, touching the deepest part of our being. This blessed money that He provides not only covers our material needs, but also gives us mental and spiritual tranquility. Imagine walking on a steep path, with a heavy load on your shoulders. Each step becomes more difficult, each breath heavier. But then, someone approaches and offers help, taking part of that load and allowing you to continue. That is how God acts in our lives. He does not completely remove our responsibilities, but He does lighten our burdens, making the path easier to travel. This act of divine love is a sign of His constant care, ensuring that with His help, we can overcome any obstacle. Life is full of challenges, but none are too great for God to help us overcome. He gives us the strength to continue, even when we feel we cannot go on. It is as if He gives us a boost, a reminder that we are not alone in this struggle. This relief is not only felt spiritually, but also materially. In those moments of despair, when solutions seem distant and worries overwhelm us, it is important to remember that God never lets us carry our burdens alone. He is there, ready to help us, to guide us toward the solution. He is like a lighthouse in the distance, illuminating the way and showing us that with His help, we can overcome any challenge. This divine relief is a blessing that allows us to continue, knowing that every step we take is guided by His love and protection. Sometimes, relief does not come immediately, but that does not mean that God is not acting in our lives. His timing is perfect, and although we may not understand why we must go through certain trials, we can trust that He has a greater purpose. He is like a teacher who gives us difficult lessons, not to make us suffer, but to prepare us for something better. This relief that He offers not only frees us from the weight of our burdens but also strengthens us, preparing us for future challenges and ensuring that with His help, we will always emerge victorious. Trusting in God is key to experiencing relief from our burdens. When we stop trying to control everything ourselves and hand our worries over to Him, it is as if a huge weight is lifted from our shoulders. This act of faith not only gives us peace, but also opens the doors to new blessings. The blessed money we receive by trusting in His plan is not just a material resource but also a sign of His love and care. This money becomes a tool to fulfill His purpose in our lives, reminding us that He always provides for His children. Relief from burdens does not mean we will never face difficulties, but it does mean we will never be alone in them. God walks with us every step of the way, offering us His help and guidance. He is like a faithful friend who never abandons us, always ready to support us in the most difficult moments. This relief is a sign of His unconditional love, a reminder that no matter how heavy our burdens may be, we can always count on Him to lighten them and give us the strength we need to continue. Prayer is a powerful tool for receiving relief from our burdens. By talking to God and giving Him our worries, we experience peace that goes beyond understanding. It is as if a gentle breeze calms the storms within us, giving us the clarity and strength needed to move forward. This relief we feel is not only emotional but also practical. By trusting in God, our finances are blessed, and the blessed money we receive becomes a source of tranquility, allowing us to live without the constant fear of scarcity. Every challenge we face is an opportunity to experience God's relief in our lives. It is in those moments of difficulty that His presence becomes most evident, reminding us that we are never alone. This relief not only frees us from the weight of our worries, but also gives us a new perspective, showing us that every trial has a purpose. Trusting in God and giving our burdens to Him is the key to living a life filled with peace, joy, and blessings, including the blessed money He provides for us. Faith in God allows us to see beyond our current circumstances, recognizing that although things may seem difficult now, relief is just around the corner. It is like walking through a dark tunnel, knowing that there is always light at the end. This relief we experience is not just a temporary respite, but a complete transformation of our perspective. We realize that with God by our side, there is no burden too heavy nor challenge too great. This divine relief is a sign of His love and power, assuring us that He will always provide for us. Relief from our burdens is a promise that God makes to all of us. No matter how great the weight we carry, we can always trust that He will help us bear it. This relief not only gives us peace but also strengthens us, preparing us to face whatever life throws our way. Trusting in God and giving our worries to Him is the key to experiencing this relief, knowing that with His help, we will always find the path to victory and abundance. In moments of greatest uncertainty, when life's storms seem most intense, God's divine protection becomes our safe refuge. It is like being in the midst of a fierce storm and finding a warm, cozy cabin that shields us from the winds and rain. This protection not only guards us physically but also covers our minds and spirits, giving us the peace we need to move forward. Knowing that we are under His care is a financial and emotional blessing, allowing us to face any adversity with the confidence that God will always be there to protect us. God's protection is not just a shield against visible dangers, it is also a barrier against the invisible threats that could harm our well-being. It is like an invisible shield that surrounds us, preventing the arrows of doubt, fear, and despair from reaching us. This protection gives us the freedom to live without fear, knowing that although the world around us may be full of dangers, God always has us covered. This blessed money we receive by trusting in His protection allows us to make bold and wise decisions, knowing that He will guide our every step. When we face difficult situations, it is easy to feel vulnerable and exposed. But God's divine protection is like armor that wraps around us, giving us the strength and courage to face any challenge. This armor not only protects us from external attacks, but also gives us the confidence to move forward, even when the path seems uncertain. This protection is a sign of God's unconditional love, reminding us that we are never alone, no matter how great the storms we face may be. Life is full of dangers, both physical and spiritual, but God's protection is a constant in our lives. It is like an umbrella on a rainy day, covering us and keeping us dry even in the midst of the storm. This protection not only shields us from immediate dangers, but also guides us toward a safe path, steering us away from situations that could cause harm. By trusting in God and His protection, we find peace and security, knowing that He is always vigilant, watching over us, and ensuring that we are safe. Whenever we feel threatened or insecure, it is important to remember that God is our refuge and strength. His protection is like an impenetrable wall that surrounds us, preventing any harm from reaching us. This security allows us to live with confidence, knowing that no matter what happens, God will always be there to protect us. This knowledge gives us a sense of peace and stability, allowing us to focus on the things that really matter, such as our faith, our relationships, and our spiritual well-being. Divine protection is not something we can see or touch, but it is a palpable reality in our lives. It is like an invisible guardian who follows us wherever we go, making sure we are safe and protected. This guardian not only protects us from physical dangers, but also from negative influences that could lead us away from our divine purpose. By trusting in God's protection, we experience a sense of security that goes beyond the material, giving us the confidence to live fully, knowing that we are in the safest hands. God promises to be with us at all times, protecting us from any harm that might threaten our peace and security. He is like a shield that blocks the enemy's attacks, ensuring that we will not be overcome by adversity. This promise of protection is also a financial blessing, as it allows us to act with wisdom and confidence, knowing that our decisions are guided by His protective hand. This blessed money we receive by trusting in His protection is a sign of His love and constant care, reminding us that He always provides for His children. In the midst of the toughest trials, God's protection becomes most evident. It is like a light shining in the darkness, guiding us to safety and well-being. This protection not only shields us from immediate dangers, but also gives us the strength to overcome any obstacle. By trusting in God and His protection, we find a peace that goes beyond understanding, knowing that although circumstances may be difficult, He is always with us, ensuring that we will emerge victorious. God's divine protection not only shields us from physical dangers, but also protects us from temptations and negative influences that could lead us away from His path. It is like a shield that surrounds us, preventing anything that is not of God from reaching us. This protection gives us the freedom to live according to His will, knowing that we are safe under His care. By trusting in this protection, we find the strength to resist temptations and to live a life that honors God, knowing that He is always with us. Every day, we face decisions that can have a significant impact on our lives. But by trusting in God's protection, we find the security to make those decisions with confidence. It is like having a wise and trustworthy counselor by our side, guiding us toward the best choices and protecting us from any mistake that could have negative consequences. This divine protection not only gives us peace of mind but also allows us to move forward with confidence, knowing that with God by our side, we will always take the right path. God's protection does not mean that we will never face difficulties, but it does mean that we will never be alone in them. It is like walking on a dark path with a lantern that lights the way, showing us that although there are obstacles, we will always find a way to overcome them. This protection gives us the confidence to face any challenge, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. By trusting in His protection, we find the strength to keep moving forward, knowing that with His help, we will always emerge victorious. It is easy to feel overwhelmed by life's worries, but God's divine protection gives us the peace we need to keep going. It is like being in the midst of a storm and finding a safe place to take refuge. This protection not only gives us security but also reminds us that God is in control, guiding and protecting us at all times. By trusting in His protection, we find the peace to live fully, knowing that we are in the safest hands and that with His help, we will always be protected. God's protection is a promise that He makes to all of us. No matter how great the challenges we face, we can always trust that He will be with us, protecting and guiding us to safety. This protection not only gives us peace and security but also allows us to live with confidence, knowing that with God by our side, there is nothing to fear. By trusting in His protection, we find the strength to face whatever life throws at us, knowing that we are always in the safest hands. The healing that God offers is not only physical but also emotional and spiritual. He is like a surgeon who works with precision, removing the pain and sadness that have accumulated in our hearts. This healing frees us from the chains of the past, allowing us to move forward without the weight of old wounds. By trusting in God and His ability to heal us, we experience a total renewal that not only gives us peace but also allows us to live with a new perspective, knowing that every experience, no matter how painful, has a purpose in His divine plan. When the heart is broken, it is easy to feel that it will never fully heal. But God promises complete healing, a renewal that goes beyond what we can imagine. It is like a flower that, after being hit by a storm, blooms again with more strength and beauty. This renewal not only gives us back what we had lost, but also gives us something new, something better. This process can be difficult, but in the end, we find ourselves stronger and more full of life, ready to face whatever comes, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. Betrayal and abandonment are experiences that can leave deep scars, but God has the power to heal them completely. He is like a craftsman who takes a broken vessel and rebuilds it, piece by piece, until it is as good as new. This healing process may take time, but it is sure and complete. By trusting in God and His ability to restore us, we find the strength to forgive and move on without the weight of resentment or bitterness. This healing allows us to live with freedom, knowing that although we have been hurt, we can be completely renewed by His love. God not only heals our wounds, He also renews us from within, giving us a new perspective and a new life. He is like a gardener who prunes dead branches to allow new flowers to grow. This renewal not only gives us a fresh start, but also prepares us to receive the blessings that God has in store for us. This blessed money we receive by trusting in His plan is a sign of His love and care, reminding us that He always has a greater purpose for our lives, even in the midst of pain. The healing and renewal that God offers are not only for our personal benefit, but also so that we can be a blessing to others. He is like a river that, after being cleansed and renewed, flows with more strength and purity, bringing life to everything it touches. By allowing God to heal our wounds and renew our spirit, we become channels of His love and grace, capable of bringing His message of hope to those who are also suffering. This healing gives us the strength to be a light in the midst of darkness, reminding us that with God, there is always hope. The healing process can be painful, but it is necessary for our renewal. It is like a wound that must be cleaned before it can heal completely. Although it may be difficult, this process allows us to get rid of everything that has hurt us, allowing us to start anew with a clean and renewed heart. By trusting in God and His ability to heal us, we find the peace and strength needed to move forward, knowing that every wound, no matter how deep, can be healed by His love. The renewal that God offers is not just a superficial change, it is a total transformation from within. It is like an old building that is renovated from the foundation to the roof, until it is as good as new. This renewal gives us a new perspective, a new way of seeing life. It allows us to leave the past behind and embrace the future with hope and confidence, knowing that with God by our side, there is nothing we cannot overcome. This renewal is a financial and spiritual blessing, as it allows us to live with a renewed heart and a clear mind, ready to receive the blessings that God has in store for us. In the midst of trials and challenges, it is easy to lose sight of the promise of victory that God has for us. However, it is precisely in those moments of difficulty when victory is closest. It is like the dawn after a long night when the darkness begins to fade and the light of a new day illuminates our path. This victory is not just a reward for our perseverance, but a manifestation of God's love and faithfulness toward His children. With every step we take, we are closer to receiving the blessings He has prepared for us, including blessed money that will help us fulfill our dreams. The promise of a near victory gives us the strength to keep going, even when the road seems endless. It is like running a marathon, where the last few miles are the hardest, but also the most rewarding. As we approach the finish line, we feel a new wave of energy and determination, knowing that the end is in sight. This victory is not only reflected in our external circumstances, but also in our spiritual life, where each trial overcome brings us closer to God and the blessings He has in store for us. Every difficulty we face is an opportunity to get closer to our victory. It is like climbing a mountain, where each obstacle overcome takes us higher, giving us a clearer perspective and a more beautiful view. God promises us that although the road is steep and full of challenges, the summit is within our reach. This near victory is a blessing that fills us with hope and reminds us that with faith and perseverance, we can overcome anything life throws at us, knowing that God always has a plan for our good. The victory that God promises us is not just a temporary victory, but an eternal one. Every challenge we face is an opportunity to get closer to our victory. It is like running a race, where each obstacle overcome brings us closer to the finish line. God promises us that although the road may be difficult, victory is within our reach. This promise gives us the strength to keep going, knowing that with faith and perseverance, we will always emerge victorious. By trusting in God and His plan, we find peace and security in knowing that no matter what happens, we will always be in the safest hands. The near victory that God promises us is a sign of His faithfulness and unconditional love. It is like receiving a warm embrace just when we need it most, reminding us that we are not alone in this struggle. This victory not only gives us a sense of accomplishment, but also strengthens us to face future challenges. By keeping our faith in God and His plan, we find the strength to keep going, knowing that every step we take brings us closer to the victory He has prepared for us. The victory that God promises us is not just a reward for our perseverance, but a manifestation of His love and constant care. It is like receiving a crown that never fades, a symbol of God's faithfulness and unconditional love. This victory not only gives us joy in the present, but also prepares us for a future full of blessings. By trusting in God and His promise of victory, we find peace and security in knowing that no matter what happens, we will always move forward, knowing that we are in the safest hands. Trusting in the divine plan does not mean that everything will be easy, but it does mean that everything will have a purpose. It is like a puzzle that, although at first it seems chaotic and meaningless, in the end, becomes a complete and beautiful picture. Each piece fits perfectly in its place, and what was once confusing becomes a masterpiece. In the same way, the challenges and trials we face in life are part of a bigger plan, designed for our good. By trusting in God, we find the strength to keep going, knowing that He is in control and that His plan is always perfect. We find ourselves in situations where we don't understand why things happen. It is easy to feel lost or discouraged when our plans do not go as expected. However, it is in those moments where trust in the divine plan becomes our anchor. It is like a navigator who follows the stars on a dark night, knowing that although he cannot see the path clearly, the stars will guide him to his destination. This trust in God allows us to let go of control and surrender to His will, knowing that although we do not understand everything at the moment, in the end, everything will make sense. Trusting in the divine plan allows us to see beyond our current circumstances and focus on the ultimate purpose that God has for us. It is like planting a seed in the ground, knowing that although we do not see the fruits immediately, in time, that seed will grow and bear abundant fruit. Every decision, every action we take in faith is like watering that seed, trusting that God will make it grow in His perfect time. This trust not only gives us patience but also fills us with hope, knowing that in the end, the harvest will be abundant and full of blessings. Now that you have received these teachings and understood the transformative power of trusting in God and following His plan, it is time to take action. Ask yourself, am I ready to allow God to transform my life? Am I willing to apply these principles and see how my financial, emotional, and spiritual life is renewed in ways I never imagined? This is a call to action, an invitation to leave behind doubts and fears, and to take that first step toward the abundant life that God has promised you. Don't settle for just listening. Make the decision today to put into practice what you have learned. Reflect on what is holding you back and give it to God. Think about how you can integrate these principles into your daily life and start taking action. Remember, true transformation begins when you move from theory to practice. Don't let time pass without taking advantage of this opportunity to change your life forever. I invite you to share in the comments how you plan to apply this knowledge. Tell me what the first step you will take is, and how you expect God to work in your life. This is a space to share, to support each other on this journey of faith. And if you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming messages that will continue to help you in your spiritual and personal growth. Don't miss this opportunity to keep learning and growing in your faith.